Yes, well, Mary and I were betrothed. And shortly after we became betrothed, Mary came to me and she said, Joseph, I need to speak to you about something of great importance. And I said, yes, Mary. She said, meet me at the place we go. We had a place, Mary and I, where we would go. It was on the side of the hill in Nazareth on some rocks, and we were hit. No one could see us when we were sitting on those rocks. And you see, in my day, when you were betrothed, the betrothed could not go off on their own. They were followed. People were with them all the time. We had chaperones, yes? And so, but we knew how to get away. And we had our place on the rocks. And that is where we would go to talk and to share and to discuss our life together. Do people still today have places they go? Yes, well, that Mary had, it was on the rocks. So we met on those rocks, and Mary looked at me and she said, Joseph, I do not know how to tell you this. I am frightened. And I said to her, now, Mary, don't be frightened. There is nothing you could say that would change my love for you. I love you more than anyone. You and I are to be wed. Yes, please, just tell me. And she looked at me and she said, Joseph, I am with child. Well, I tell you, I was stunned. But I knew one thing, that Mary was not with child of her own accord. She would not have done this. She would not have shamed herself, her father, or me for that matter. It was not Mary. So I asked her, I said, the Romans who are in our country, who are controlling our country, were known to take young Jewish girls and have their way with them, to attack them, to rape them. I asked her, I said, was it one of the Romans? Did they attack you? And she said, I have been with no man, Joseph. Well, I said to her, I do not understand. She said, I can only tell you this. I had a vision, she said. And in my vision, heavenly beings came and told me that I was carrying a child of the heavens. And that is all I can tell you, Joseph. Well, I told her that I did not understand what she was telling me. I did not understand it. It was beyond me, but I did know this, that somehow, even though it was beyond my understanding, Mary was telling me the truth. Because Mary could not and would not lie. I know her too well. As children, we knew each other. She could not lie. So she was telling me the truth, but I could not understand. So I told her, I will go home and I will pray and ask God for direction. You see, I was raised by my father Jacob to pray. During good times and bad, always go to God, turn to God, and ask for direction, yes? So I left her that day, and I went home, and do you know that I was away from her for 1 week's time? And every day I prayed, almost all day, asking God, please tell me what you would have me do. Well, at the end of that 1 week, I had decided. I decided that in the morning I would go to Mary, and I would tell her that we will go before 2 witnesses and ask for a writ of divorcement. And that way we could divorce one another, and she could go on her way and do whatever it was that God would have her do. You see, my reason for offering to divorce her was not because I did not love her. I loved Mary with all my heart. But it was because I loved her and because I believed her. You see, I believed that God had so ordained, and I knew that I had no place in it. I was not worthy. Have you ever made a decision in your life but felt somewhere or somehow it was wrong? Yes? Well, that is how I felt. I felt in my stomach, I think, that this was the wrong decision. And I got into bed and I tossed and I could not sleep. And finally, when I fell asleep, I had a vision. I had a vision, and heavenly beings came to me, and they said that Mary has told you rightly. And they said, be not afraid, Joseph, son of David, for the child that she carries is of the Holy Spirit. And the heavens want you to raise that child as your own and to name him Jesus. When the vision ended, I woke. And I don't think I was ever so excited in my life, because I never wanted to divorce Mary. And I knew in my heart that this was from God. And so I did what I do when I am excited. I paced. You see, I wanted to go to Mary's house, but it was the middle of the night, and I couldn't. I had to wait for first light. So I paced. I walked back and forth, and all through the night, I was out of bed, walking back and forth because I wanted to go to Mary and beg her forgiveness for even considering divorce, yes? Well, at first light, I ran to her house. Now, her house is 362 paces from mine. Yes, well, I know that because as children we would play and we would count. We would count 1, 2. We knew how many paces it was to all of our friends' house. Children do that. Do you count? Yes, they know. You count and you know how many. And we knew how. That day I made that over 362 paces in less than 100. I ran. I was excited. And when I arrived at her house, her father, Joachim, was there, and I said, Joachim, I must speak to Mary. May I please speak with her privately? Well, the heavens must have spoken to him because he said yes. And Mary and I, we went back to our place, our rocks, and we sat there, and I said to her this. I said, Mary, you must please forgive me. I had planned to come here this day to tell you that I had decided we should become divorced. But Mary, I had a vision, not dissimilar to yours. And in mine, the heavenly beings appeared and said that the child you are carrying is of the Holy Spirit. And they want me to be its father and to raise him as my own. Will you forgive me, Mary? She stood and she put her arms around me and she said, there is nothing to forgive, my husband. There is no one on this earth I want to raise this child with other than you. Heavens be blessed. I was given the most beautiful, wonderful woman I think that he had ever created. Well, then I said to her, I said, we should go and talk to your father and ask if we could become married now and not wait the traditional 1 year of betrothal. And so we did, and we went and spoke to Joachim, and you know, he must have had his own vision because he said yes.